Oh gosh. Well, listen, we're not going to take up too much of your time, and besides, you've got your dinner in front of you, and
it can wait. It's on the tin foil. It can wait. It can wait. It's fine.
Oh, bless her. She's such a sweetheart. So, just a couple of quick questions, then, Charlie. You know, when you do get these opportunities, and you know, as you say, you're achieving stuff that you just wouldn't have had the opportunity to without Hammer's chat. Yeah, would you? I mean, if Sky Sports came knocking, would you go? Would you do it?
I mean, yeah. It depends what it was. If they want a runner, then probably not. I don't know if I can be asked. But I mean, I think the thing is like, I sort of jokingly said on Twitter the other day that Sky Sports should hire me because I uploaded a clip from the watch along of me describing how Mikel Antonio was getting pulled around by the defender and how it was a foul by throwing this guy around. Yeah. I mean, yes, of course. I mean, the thing is like, I'm in a weird position where Hammer's chat isn't mine. You know, like Hammer's chat is owned 50-50 by Gio and Gonzo. If it was purely my thing, where, you know, then maybe the answer would be different. I would go and do it, but I'm also aware that like that would never happen. Like it would be one of those things where if they wanted a West Ham fan, then potentially. But you know, there's been times where we've done stuff. Gio writes on the BBC every week now. On the BBC Sport website, Gio has an article thing that they do on the West Ham section on there.
I wasn't aware of that.
We've been on BT Sport before.
Yes,
we've had some opportunities like that before, but it's you know, if they wanted me to be on there, then yeah, sure, of course I would. But it would be very weird. Imagine Jamie Carragher, Gary Neville, and then me. And I'd probably bring him along because you can't go anywhere without him.
Can't go anywhere without Danny D.
Half time, they come back to the crowd and they're like, "Charlie, what do you think? I'm shoving a baby bell in my mouth." You know, I think is. But yeah, I mean,
and I've got a bag full more down here in case we're getting under it.
Yeah, want one, Gary? Maybe good luck. But yeah, no, I would, yeah, but I think it would be maybe a different answer if if it was my thing that I owned, if I wasn't just someone who works on it. If it was mine, then it would be a different story, you know.
Yeah, I get you. You know, and on that, you know, about having your own channel, etc., etc. I mean, I only started Green Street Elites about 3 or 4 weeks ago now, and you know, I don't really have massive plans for it. I don't expect to have hundreds of thousands of subscribers or anything. You know, I'm just, you know, doing my thing and just putting out the best content I can. And you know, I want to thank you also for supporting the little guy. You know, I mean, like myself, Peach on Random, and you know, Titch on Hammers Fans United, and that. You're always full of support for us all, and you know, we ask you to pop in and stuff, and you do so, and that's, you know, it's actually quite a big thing for us, especially for me, you know, because as I said, you know, I'm new to this. I mean, you're quite a seasoned pro now. And to have you on my show, it kind of feels like a bit of a coup. And I appreciate it more than you could imagine, to be honest with you, Charlie. But, you know, what makes a successful broadcaster? What does it take to get to where you are? I mean, you are quite a successful broadcaster, let's be honest. Okay, you know,
Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito and the occasional baby Bill.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I mean, on the small channel thing that you said, and I said this to you privately, but I don't think there are, like, I think people look at divides between people look at divides like subscriber numbers as if that sort of means anything. And like, I mean, like the people who watch the channel, like, they're all incredibly nice people. We have the boats before games where lots of people down there are people who subscribe to the channel and like have a community of people who talk or whatever. And so going there is always really nice. And we could talk to people who, you know, people will come up to me and be like, "Hey, it'll be like, so say Peach came up to me and went, 'Hi, I'm West Ham Random,' or Foshizi, when Foshizi came up to me and said, 'Hi, I'm Foshizi.' Like, you don't introduce yourself by your real name. You introduce yourself almost by your username. Because if someone came up to me, like if the first time, if you came up to me and you said, and your username was, say, for example, Dax, when you came in the chat was Dax, right? And say you always come in the channel as Dax and you said, hi, I'm Clive, I probably would have been like, oh, nice to meet you or whatever. But then if you went, hi, I'm Dax, and I was like, oh my God, we've spoken so many times, whatever, it's always really nice, right? But I think that divide, I don't think it's, my opinion is, I have a very old school YouTube mentality of back in the day when YouTube was first growing and stuff. Everyone appeared on everyone's channels, and I'm not talking about fan channels and fan football. I'm just talking about general channels that existed. Everyone would always go on everyone else's channel, and there was never any expectation of like something in return or anything like that. And I still have that mindset because I think a rising tide raises all boats. And so when I come and do stuff on here or on Ham's Fans United or West Ham Random, I'm not looking to do it for any sort of reason. It's because I think if there's probably people who subscribe to your channel, who subscribe to them, who don't know who I am, and that's fine. If if you want to really look at it that way, that benefits. But also it's just nice to talk to people with different opinions and stuff. And I think that's the great thing about having so many channels is doing that sort of thing, right? And when you talk about what's good at it, like the numbers, again, I don't think denote quality. This was something else I said to you privately. I think actually, you know, there's people who have no subscribers. Like I say this was, I think Peach is the hardest working person in West Ham YouTube by a significant, like that guy and he doesn't have as many subscribers as West Ham Fan TV or Hammers Chat or even West Ham Network or anyone, right? But he works harder than almost anyone I know. He just goes. He doesn't stop. He has a stream where he'll do like 7 hours.
We've done 6-7 hours together. Yeah, we've done it. I've done it with him.
He'll stop for an hour and then he'll be back again.
I know. There's me getting ready to go to bed and I get a notification that Peach is going live and I'm like, 100%. So I'll phone him up and I go, what are you up to? He go, I forgot to mention something. And he'd just go off on a tangent. And you think to yourself, come on, Peach, we've just done 7 hours, mate. That's a working day. Give it a rest, you know.
Crazy.
And then he'll go and do another 4-hour stream.
It's crazy
because he forgot something.
And that's the thing is, I don't think like the numbers denote quality. I think there's tons, and it stretches outside of fan YouTube into any other type of YouTube and anything else. I don't think the people who are the most popular are necessarily the best. I think so. What makes a good broadcaster is just, I think it depends. People can be good for different reasons. I think that's the beauty of the system, right? You can you can watch me who does one type of watch along and enjoy it, and then or you might not like me, but you could go and watch West Ham Fan TV's watch along who's completely different and enjoy that, but not enjoy me. Or maybe you go and watch Hammers Fans United one, or maybe you go and watch West Ham Networks one, or whoever it might be. And I think you can all do things in different ways, right? I think it's just like the answer is having Danny DeVito next to you. That's the answer, Budgie. To be a good, if you don't have a Danny, behind all good men is Danny DeVito just hanging out. You know, that's the saying. That's the saying.
I shall take that on board, and I will endeavour to meet up with him at some point.
I'll send you a link. You can get one of your own. You can have Danny, or you can have what we discovered the other day, which is when we were throwing out the packaging for Danny. Mini Danny. You can have 2 Dannys.
Oh man,
we've got multiple Dannys going on.
Multiple Dannys. It's a Danny fest.
It's a Danny fest. So now he just accompanies me from several angles, several different sizes.
Excellent.
Big Danny and Travel Danny. You know, it's good.
Yeah, mate. That's it. And yeah, to be fair, I probably would actually go with his twin brother,
Arnie.
Arnie,
yeah. That I'm the Arnie of this relationship. I don't think it's a big, you know what I mean? Just a strong guy, you know what I mean? A lot.
I used to tell a story to people, right? I mean, it was complete falsehood and that, but my dad, right, this part is true. My dad was in the army, and just after the Second World War, he went out to Austria with the army to, I don't know what the word, peacekeeping, I suppose you would call it. Sure, and to kind of reinstate some kind of order into the country and stuff. So he was in Austria, my dad, and this was before he met my mum. And he quite often told us a story about this woman that he'd met while he was in Austria and had a bit of a relationship with her for about 18 months or something. And then when he came back to the UK, she didn't want to come. But months later, she got a letter from her he got a letter from her saying that she was pregnant and that it was his child. And he said, well, come to England and I will gladly support you. I'll marry you and so on and so forth. But I can't live in Austria. I'm sorry, but I can't do that. So she said, it's okay. I don't think it's your child. So he's like, oh, okay. So the minute I've walked out the door, there's another fella walking in the other door, is there, sort of thing. Anyway, so, and this was in an area called Graz in Austria. Anyway, some years later, a film comes out called Predator or Terminator or one of them. And there's this guy called Arnold Schwarzenegger who happens to be from Graz. And there were stories going around that his father was an unknown British soldier. Right? It's not true, but that was the story that was going around. And as that story was going around, I was like, yeah, it's my dad. And they're like, what? I said, yeah, it's my half brother. I actually had about 10 people in the pub one night believing that I was Arnold Schwarzenegger's half brother. And I didn't leave that pub without an escort from the bar staff because I get one of them when I get drunk. I live so close to the pub, they bring me home. It's a great pub. But yeah, I had about 10 people in the pub all believing that I was Arnold Schwarzenegger's half brother. Great. And they're all buying me drinks. And I'm like, yeah, he's coming to Crawley next week. They all fucking believe me. It was crazy. Absolutely hilarious.
Now you say it, I see the resemblance. Now you say it, I see the resemblance. You know.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Equally hench. You know?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I'm only hench from the bottom of the rib cage to the top of my groin.
Sure. But there's a lot of heft going on in that specific zone.
Hell of a lot of Stella.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so a couple more quick questions then, Charlie, before we wrap things up. We've been going nearly an hour. Don't want to take up all your evening. So we've covered like your favourite West Ham moment and how you sort of got into the club and so on and so forth, and the games you've been to, kind of thing, and stuff. What is your worst ever moment as a West Ham fan? I haven't asked anybody this question yet, actually.
I mean, there's just so many to choose from.
Sport for choice.
Sport for choice. Okay, so it was the first game of a couple of seasons ago, 4 or 5 seasons ago, maybe. And it was another situation. And again, as previously stated, I'm a very calm individual, uber calm at all times. I'm just a chill guy. Even when we lose badly, I'm really calm. I'm just
I've never even seen you raise an eyebrow, let alone raise your voice, You know what
I mean? Whatever, you know what I mean? Unless it's to do with Adam Frankel, that idiot, then I'm calm at all times,
I was trying to avoid that, man. But here we go. For the purposes of
he'll get excited because he's got a mensch. Anyway, so apart from I'm a really calm individual. I went to see, it was the opening game of the season. Winston Reid was playing. I can't remember what game. It was against Manchester United, but I can't remember what season it was. And it was the one where we lost 4-0.
Oh yeah.
And again, I was in a pub with my mum's partner, who's a Man United fan, but I was also in there. It was a Man United pub, and it was just full of Man United fans. Yeah. And it wasn't necessarily, it wasn't him at all, because we have it's calm. We're not a problem.
It's an understanding.
It was everyone else, and I've never been angry like that before. And my mum was with us, and I think it was like Winston Reid misplaced a pass and then they ended up going up the other end and scoring or something like that. And it was time to make it 3 or 4. And I remember just saying, and again, I don't swear that often either, like on camera or especially around my mum for some reason. And I just remember going, for fuck's sake, can't you just pass in a fucking straight line? You earn 70 fucking grand. I was just so angry. And then there was like a bunch of Man United fans who essentially did a straight after I did it because I did it out loud. And I remember just being I was like raging. And again, I'm never ever angry most of the time. And I was like, I didn't say this out loud, obviously, but in my head, I'm like, I will fight you right here, right now. Don't think I won't do it. I will come over there. We can have a full on scrap. And I remember just being like, I was just like, oh. And Mum went, "Are you all right?" And I was like, she literally went, "Do you want to go?" And I went, "I'll stay to the end, but I'm quite angry." And she just went, I'll get you another Coke. I'll get you another Coke. And went to the bar to get a drink. But I was just like, oh my God. But it's like, again, I don't really get, like, being relegated sucks. Like, difficult losses. Like, I remember when we lost to Nottingham Forest in the Cup, like 5-0 and stuff like that. That always sucks and stuff like that. But that was the one that sticks out in my mind because I was so angry. And and it never usually gets to me. And I don't know why it did that day. But I was just, I was ready for a scrap, Budgie. I was ready, and I'm not a scrappy guy, but I was ready for a scrap that day.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand the emotion because, like, you know, I've kind of experienced similar emotion myself under similar circumstances, you know.
Yeah.
But I think my work, especially as West Ham fans. But I think my worst ever moment as a West Ham fan was when I learned that Carlos Tevez was going to leave. I actually sat there and felt like my world was going to end because, you know, for the first time in a long time, you know, I think Paolo Di Canio was the last man that gave me a metaphorical hard on, if you like, you know. But I like Carlos Tevez just excited me as a player. Yeah. And although there were issues and circumstances surrounding his signing and stuff, I didn't give a shit about that, to be honest with you. I didn't care about that kind of thing. I was kind of half ignorant towards it because I chose to be. But when I knew that he was going to leave, and I was absolutely gutted. And at the time, my partner, my ex-wife, she was like, you know, what's wrong with you? And I was like, Carlos Tevez has left. And she's like, who's that? I was like,
really? I see why she's your ex-wife now. Yeah. You don't understand in that moment. Then,
well, that's only one reason for it. I won't go into the rest, but that's probably one of the most important reasons. And she's like, who's that? And I'm like, really? Have I got to explain it to you? I said, you know, we've subscribed to Sky for the last 3 years for one reason and one reason only, so that I can watch the bloody football, right? I said, and, you know, every time there's like something, I've been shouting for the last 5 months or whatever it is, Tevez, and you know, going, and you ain't got a clue who he is. And she's like, I don't pay any attention to you. Oh, thanks for that. You know, she goes, no, I meant when you're watching the football. Like, oh, right, okay, you know. But but that was probably, you know, in recent memory, that's probably one of my worst moments when I learned that he was going to go. Okay, vision for the future, Charlie. Where do you see us finishing this year, and how do you think we can do better?
It's a weird time to ask it at the moment, isn't it? I mean, I think the thing is, we're in a really, really, really good place. A place that we haven't probably been in my lifetime. I think we were close to this at the end of the Boleyn season, but the difference between that and here was, I think, that Boleyn season was something just that happened, and we had a lot of the pieces, but we didn't have. There was a piece here and there. I look at the squad now, and I think, you know, we have a lot of very, very good players in like every position. Now this is obviously form withstanding for a couple of these, but you're looking at Fabianski, Areola, you're looking at Kufal, Zuma, Ogbonna, Dawson to some extent, Cresswell, Rice, Souček, flipping Ben Rama on his day is really good. You know, Lanzini, Fornals, I flipping love. You know, Antonio. We've got so many, Bowen. We've got so many incredible players right now, and I think we're in a really good stage to build and kick on. I think when you're talking short term this season, I think we're looking at a top 8 finish regardless. I think at this stage, I think if we were to get underneath top 8, it would be a huge problem, and disappointment and a massive drop off. I'm fairly confident we'll finish in at least the top 8. And the other answer is just how far we go in the cups. I mean, we've drawn a difficult team in Southampton in the FA Cup. We'll see how that goes. I'm not super confident about that game, but I'm conversely a lot more confident for some reason about Europe, and I think we can go far in Europe. I think if we can get, I think we can get to a semi-final in Europe, and then all of a sudden you're one fixture, as it were, away from the final, you know, and I think that's a massive achievement. And then long term, it's all about just replacing Declan Rice, I think, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, short term, I think top. I'm confident we'll get top 8. I'm hopeful we'll get top 6, and then I think just a run as deep into Europe as possible. And I would be incredibly happy. I would be incredibly happy with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I would prefer us, obviously, to finish top 6.
Yeah,
I would absolutely dream for us to finish in the top 4. Not likely this season, but it's a distinct possibility for future seasons. You know, if we carry on building and gelling and introducing the youth the way we have been, or the way that David Moyes has been, I think we've got a bright future, and especially with a lot of the guys from the under-23s. There's a number of names that you could list that I think are almost ready for the Premiership. And you know, funnily enough, we're screaming out for a replacement or a backup to Creswell. We've got one ready-made in Longello. I think he's almost there. I've watched quite a lot of his stuff, the games that he's played this year, on the Rising Hammers and a couple of other channels that show the youth games. And I do watch the ball when the game's in play, but I tend to kind of watch off the ball quite a lot, because that's what I'm like. I mean, I was a midfielder, so you tend to try and see where other people are, so that when you get the opportunity to play the ball on, and that where everyone is, and so on and so forth. And it kind of followed on in my watching brief as a fan. And I think Longello's got a really bright future. I think Arco Flex has got a really bright future. And similarly, young Elise, I think he's quality.
I really like Elise.
Yeah, he's quality.
I really like him. I said the other day on the Two Spanners One Hammer podcast that we do on the Hammers Chat Patreon, that I would start him this weekend. I really like Elise. I really do think the world of him. I think out of when we played that game in Europe and we had the young back four and Perkins and everything else, I was impressed by everyone, but I watched him and I was like, oh, he's actually feels like he's there now. Like that not there next season or anything. I was like, now sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, that was the game where I thought that Longello was almost Premiership ready.
A lot of people said that as well. The chat was talking about Longello a lot.
Yeah, he had an exceptional game. And the Forson as well. He's been doing really well this year. The young midfielder that where did we get him from?
Was it Chelsea?
Wasn't it Celtic? Yeah, Chelsea, I think it was. Yeah. It was Arco Flex we got from Celtic, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, we've got quite a bright future, and I see that if we can keep David Moyes where he is right now, doing what he's doing, I think if we've got like a 3-year plan, I reckon within that 3-year plan of David Moyes's, I reckon we could qualify for Champions League proper. Properly qualify for it, top 4 finish, or a European win, or winning a national cup. I think I think we could, or domestic cup, I should say. I think we can do that, because we've got quite a bright future, and we need to hold on to the 1 or 2 players that we've got as well. Jared Bowen being top of that list, in my
Yeah, I
opinion.
agree with that. Yeah.
He's probably for me, and as much as I love Declan Rice and I admire what he does, I think Jared Bowen for me is so far has got to be Hammer of the Year for me. You know, he's been
Yeah, I would agree. I would
absolutely
agree. Yeah.
sensational. He's been sensational. You know, I mean, everybody bants around that phrase about Bowen's on fire and so on and so forth. But what else can you say? What else can you say about that man? You know, and you know, it's high praise indeed for him to be linked with Liverpool. You know, because you know historically Liverpool are one of the big clubs. You know, and they've had a hell of a lot of success in their time. You know, and look at the way they've changed. You know, the fortunes of certain players. You know, Mohamed Salah for one, he was kind of languishing in nowhere land when he was with Chelsea. They loaned him out and moved him on, and then Liverpool picked him up. And look at him now; he's probably one of the most feared strikers in the world. You know, so you know it's quite high praise for Bowen to be linked with him. I just hope and pray that he's not tempted. You know.
Yeah, I agree, and I think with Declan there's an inevitability that he's leaving just because he's so clearly that good that it's going to happen at some point. Whereas I think with Bowen, there's a legitimate possibility that I think we grow with Bowen. I think with Rice, it's about keeping him as long as we can, basically. And then when it's time to part, it's time to part. With Bowen, I think we can actually grow a team around Jared Bowen. And there was a time where that first 6 months he came in, I was like, oh, flipping hell. Okay, fair. He's done his thing. And then second season, I was like, okay, it's fine or whatever. But now he's just a whole different thing. Like his consistency this season's been unreal. And I would agree with you. I would say if you put the ballot in front of me today, I would tick Jared Bowen, because he's just been, like say, sensational.
So damn good. Yeah, he's just been so damn good. Yeah, and yeah, we've been very fortunate with championship players that we've signed. You know, I mean, Antonio, we got him from Forest. You know, Jared Bowen, Creswell from Norwich, was it? Oh, Ipswich. I knew it was one of them ones.
Norfolk somewhere.
You know, yeah, up there somewhere, up past the Essex boys. You know, we've been very, well, I don't know if it's fortunate or have we been successful. It's one or the other, isn't it? You know, with championship players that we've signed, they've become and grown into the Premiership status very well. And, you know, there are a lot of teams out there that would be interested in Antonio and Bowen and Creswell. Yeah, I think obviously with Antonio and Creswell, the age is an issue for a lot of other clubs. But with Bowen, I can see it now. You know, in the near future, there are going to be a number of suitors for him. I just hope and pray that he has enough love and respect for this club that he chooses to stay. And you know, you couldn't blame him if he did go to someone like Manchester City or Chelsea or, you know, Liverpool or someone. You know, you wouldn't blame him for that. It's going to further his personal career. But as a Man United, as a Liverpool fan, or as a, you know, Chelsea fan or something, you would really want him to come in, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
under current performance, you know. And like, even my brother, he joked to me and said, "Oh, you know, can you just see it now, Jared Bowen in blue?" And I'm like, only the West Ham away kit, mate. And he's like, no, proper blue. Oh, shut up. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, the rivalry between like my brother and I, as far as, I mean, he's Chelsea, I'm West Ham. Yeah, the rivalry is pretty tough at times, but it's always, because we're brothers, it's always kind of a little muted. But you know, we do give each other the stick. You know, like he keeps on saying to me things like, you know, oh, I can just see Jared Bowen in blue, and I'll go, yeah, well, you're gonna have to make do with Declan Rice. And he go, oh, any day of the week, you know, because I actually believe that's where he'll end up. You know, he's got friends there. He's a Chelsea supporter. You know, he makes no secret of that. I believe that's where he'll end up. I don't think Man United will get him. I really don't. As much as they want him, I don't believe they'll get him.
I think it is between those two and City. I think City, it depends what they see the long-term future of Rodri. But I could see them being interested. Chelsea, I think it would be difficult for him to turn down. I do think it will be Manchester United, just because they're the club out of all of them who so desperately need him. Like City, they'd like him, sure, but whatever. Chelsea, he would work for him, and he would obviously, again, I think it'd be very, very difficult to turn down if it came in. But the only reason I think Manchester United is because I'm like, A, they've got the money, and B, they desperately need someone exactly like him. Oh my God. So the gaping hole in their midfield for Declan Rice. But I do think, again, if you sat him down in front of identical contracts, one for Manchester United and one for Chelsea, I suspect
he's going to sign the blue one, isn't he?
Yeah,
of course he is. And in fairness, United have invested quite heavily in that position in the last few years. Or in the central midfield position, depending on how you view that, whether it be a defensive role or an attacking role or holding role. But, in central midfield, Man United have invested quite heavily. I would probably put a figure of somewhere around 350 million in probably the last 10 years in that position, which is an awful lot of money, but then you are probably talking about 8 or 9 players. And Pogba being the most expensive, and probably, the least worthy of that price tag.
He's probably leaving on a free at the end of this season, so.
Is he?
Yeah, he's out of contract, and it doesn't look like he's been
89 million they paid for him.
And the thing is, I understand why they did it, but it's not worked out. But in Italy for Juventus, he was incredible. But it's just sometimes these things happen. You buy someone and it doesn't work out, and insane amount of money for him. But it looks like he is probably going to leave unless something changes. He looks like he's leaving at the end of the season on a free.
Yeah. I mean, they had him originally, didn't they? They had him previously, and then he went on to Italy.
Yeah,
and they bought him back for, was it 3 times the amount they sold him for or something, wasn't it?
I think it was probably way more than that. I don't remember what he went to for Italy, but I'm sure it was peanuts.
I thought it was about 24, 26 million, I think.
I feel like, I might be wrong, I'd have to Google this. I feel like it was like in the single figures. I think.
Really?
I would have to double check.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think if they even sold him or if we went on a free transfer. I can't remember, but I would suspect it was incredibly cheap. But I would have to double check. I'm not certain. The point is, though, what an amazing loss they made on him. But that's what I mean. You look at that midfield, and at the moment they were playing with Ralph Rangnick at the moment and stuff. They're playing McTominay as the sitting deep lying midfielder in that midfield 3. And I'm one of these people who I quite like Scott McTominay. I won't lie, I do quite like Scott McTominay.
Yeah, he's a decent player.
Yeah, but I wouldn't put him as my holding defensive midfielder. And then the other options there are like, you can squeeze Pogba there, but that's not really the right thing to do. You could put Fred there, but he's not very good. You could put obviously Donny van de Beek's just left. You could put Matic in there, but he's gonna be put out to pasture at some point very soon as well. So at that point, you're just saying, my God,
they released Mata? Did they release Mata?
I think I want to say he's still there. But again, even he wouldn't suit what they need. But I think he's still there. Again,
I mean, it's the age as well, isn't it? I mean, they're all in their late 20s, early 30s now, aren't they? So, like with the exception of McTominay and Pogba, no, I suppose Fred isn't either, really. So that's just shot yourself in the foot.
But I mean, the ones who you actually trust, being Mata, you'd probably trust. You trust Matt. You would trust Matic. But they're like at the end of their careers, especially at the top level. They're not. Even if you were like, these are the people who are going to do it, they're not going to be here in 2 seasons, 1 season time.
Yeah. Just type of players that we would normally buy.
Yeah, a little bit. I tell you what, One last ride for Juan Mata. Would it be useful for us? No. Would he suit our system? No. Would I want it? Yes, Juan Mata. I love him. He's such a nice footballer to watch. I'd bloody be all about Juan Mata.
And also for those 10 goals he'll get you for the season.
I mean, that would help. It would help. I can't lie to you. I wouldn't say no to it, Budgie. I wouldn't say no.
I agree. Okay, so we'll kind of wrap things up a little bit then. So, anything that you particularly want to say while you've got the opportunity?
Subscribe to Green Street Elites for a start. All right. Everyone who watches this at any point, okay, you have to right. Starting your own channel is difficult, right? I've spoken to many people who've done it. I've done it several times, right? Because we've done Hammer's Chat, but then I've got my A-Top Lad and A-Top Mark and all that other nonsense I do, right? So that will exist. And I can tell you for a fact, starting it is difficult, it's scary, and just putting yourself out there is rough. Is rough. Like the person I am now on camera, and the person I go back and watch the first ever Hammer's Chat video, which is me, Gio, and Gonzo, right? Oh my god, you'd be like, who is this idiot? And the answer would be G. But still, the point is that it's difficult, right? It's really difficult. And I think you just, when I watch it happen, and I think with you, like, I've always enjoyed what you've said, like whenever we've had conversations, but also when I've just been sitting watching you, I always really like what you have to say. I always really like talking to you and putting my stuff in the chat and you talking about whatever. So everyone needs to support Budgie on this, okay? So I don't care. I'm not listening to any excuses, right? I want two things, Budgie. I want subscribe down below. You hit the subscribe button, maybe hit the bell notification while you're there to be alerted. And two, you hit the like button as well, because that helps us out. It pushes it up. We need to raise this up and put it on a pedestal so the people can see it, all right? Because if you're interested in it, and I know you are because you've watched to the end, then it's damn well sure there's other people who would be too. So make sure to do that to support it. Also, thank you for having me on, Budgie. I really do appreciate it. Like you were very,
not as much as I appreciate you agreeing.
Very kind and polite to me, but I'll be honest, it's been an absolute pleasure. So thank you so much.
No, thank you. And you know, it's lovely to have feedback like that as well, Charlie. You know, sometimes when you're sitting here and you're doing things, you read the comments and stuff. And, but for actually to have someone sit there and actually, have the feedback, it's very helpful. It's quite humbling as well. So thank you. I agree. I would like everybody to subscribe. Those of you that haven't, like the stream, go and check some of the other videos that I've done, and also obviously get yourself across to Hammer's Chat if you haven't already. You probably already have. Everybody I talk to,
and then what will happen is you'll realize just how good Budgie is at this, because you're seeing someone so abhorrently poor that you'll want to come back and then like the videos. You know what I mean? Just keep doing it, people. It's a cycle here. Come on. Yes.
And as we always say, we are a family, and we all support each other. And so on that note, I also want to give a big mention to Peach and West Ham Random for giving me my shot, and also Hammers Fans United, West Ham Network, all of you guys, West Ham Reunited, all of you guys are special. You're valid, and you're all inspirations to me. Charlie, it's been an absolute pleasure listening to some of the stories and the chat. It's been really good chatting with you again. I love chatting with you. You're a decent fella. You're one of our own. You're one of our own, mate. That's what I love about you. You're one of our own. No pretense, no hidden agenda. Just thoroughly decent chat.
Danny DeVito and Danny DeVito just hanging out.
Yeah. Okay, that's all it is. It's just Charlie and the two Dannys.
Double D's.
Danny and Danny.
Quadruple D's in a lot of way. Danny DeVito and Danny DeVito. Love that.
Yeah, that's it. Danny DeVito.
What time to be alive?
That's six. What's sextuplet? Isn't it? Sextuple or whatever it is. Danny DeVito.
It's a lot. The point is
DDV. Oh, no, sorry.
DDV. Let's ignore the V's. Just a couple of pair of double D's. You love to see it.
Yeah. But it's been brilliant chatting with you, Charlie. And this will probably go out at some point in the next few days. So watch out for the notifications. In fact, there's no point me saying that, because you will be watching this to the end. and the notification will have already happened. So that's just how bad I am at this. You know what I mean?
Watch out for future notifications. Once you hit the subscribe and bell, you have to keep saying it, Budgie, because that way you can just hit subscribe and bell. Right?
I don't like doing it because it's like almost like I feel like I'm begging, you know, at the local railway station or something, you know. But thank you so much, Charlie. It's been an absolute pleasure, and hopefully we'll get involved with some more stuff together in the near future. No doubt we will. Anytime I'm live, anytime you pop up in the chat, I'll throw you across the link if you want to come in. It's always a pleasure to chat with you, Charlie. I'm actually in about 35 minutes. I should be chatting with Wally World. So hopefully his one will be coming up real soon. And today I got confirmations from Lucas and Leon American Hammers. So 2 more fantastic ones to come up pretty soon as well. So everything's happening.
All lovely gentlemen.
All nice guys.
Of which you should all watch when you subscribe. I'm going to keep saying it every time you stop talking about it. Subscribe, everyone. Come on. Let's go. Get it going.
Yeah. So Lee, aka Grizzly Adams, will be here at some point real soon. I called him that last night on stream. He did. He giggled. I said, "Why am I thinking of Grizzly Adams?" And he just giggled. He read it out and then he giggled. I was like, "Yeah, you know." All right. Okay. So we'll wrap this up. Thank you for watching, everybody. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, like the streams, get across to Hammers Chat. Hammers Chat do brilliant content, inspirational stuff for guys like me. So please get across there and support them guys. Also, one more thing for us to say, Charlie, before we leave.
Come on, you irons. Deploy the boys. Come on, let's go.
Take care. See you soon.
Artie, Zen. Yeah. Look, we're just gonna throw some bars in, have a bit of a laugh, have some fun. Hope you guys like it. Much love. You know it is. Come on, you irons. When I jump on a track, I flow like an artist. Lyrical brush, I paint all my hardship. Take off too fast, so strap up your harness. Leaving the ocean party.